Well, if I want. All right, we're on. Hello, everybody. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and it is now time for the sights and sounds of Earth as we go around and try to figure out what the hell's going on this rock that we live on. And it's the third rock from the sun. I think they did a show about that. Anyway, yeah, hello, everybody. I've been playing around with some stuff, and look at that. I got like a little lightning thing around me now. That's kind of cool. Tonight we're doing Volcano Watch. We're also watching Skid Row. Also, two different shots in Los Angeles where they say they're heading to a protest. We'll see if they ever arrive. And in the upper left and down the left side, we've got our storm chasers out tonight. And we've got a number of storm chasers. We've got 3 right now in a stationary cam over there, but I expect some more to come up because we've got ourselves a fairly dynamic night here when it comes to weather. We've got a large area here that is got a much higher than normal chance of some severe weather this evening. This line is moving through the hash marks right now. Here's our 2 storm chasers here. They're on this particular storm, and they're looking at the rotation within this storm, and I don't really see a lot of rotation, but if there is, it's going to be down here. So they're trying to position themselves out ahead of that, and we'll watch. Both these guys are running together, so it kind of looks like the same camera, but it's not. It's actually 2 different vehicles. You can see by the hoods on the vehicles. All right, let's see. Let me switch this back. We do have a tornado warning we need to go take a look at, so let's do that. 1 tornado warning in let's see, where do we got this at? There we go. It's a radar indicated tornado, and we are in Wisconsin, Iron County, Ashland County, and northern Price County in north central Wisconsin. Watch out. We've got a tornado warning in that area. Not a real good area for radar, so I'm trying to see if we've got another angle we can look at this thing. I don't think we do. There's not a lot of radar sites. Here's one out of Marquette. And yeah, there is some rotation in there. It doesn't show up to be all that strong, but there is definitely some rotation in there. All right, let me get the chat room up so I can say hello to everybody that has come on in. And here we go. Here comes my chat room. All right, we've already got 10 of you in there. I do appreciate you guys coming in. Hello, Galactic. Hello, Brandon. Thank you for coming in. And Mr. Wick City, thank you for coming in. Cloud seeding. You know, they did that cloud seeding out there, and now we've had days and days of higher than normal rainfall in different areas, and we've issued a lot of flash flood emergencies and flash flood warnings over the last week and a half. I'm one of these people that I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but when I see something that interests me, I really start to pay attention. And I don't know. I'm watching this one. It is interesting. And the guy even came out and tried. He was even kind of come out and trying to defend it a little bit. The CEO of that company out there, Cloud Seeding or whatever it's called, Rainmaker. That's the name of it, Rainmaker. And yeah, so we did talk about that a little bit the other day. Hey, Dominic, thanks for coming in. We are getting a little bit. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take you on the tour. Let's go ahead and go down and check out Florida, because guess what? We do have a rotation center coming across Florida. Let's head on into the Tampa-based radar, and let's switch this back to high-res radio velocity. I'm sorry. Let's change that back to reflectivity here. And let's see if we can pick out the rotation up here as it goes across north central Florida. Yeah, you can see. Looks like it's made it offshore. Maybe is it down here? Let me see. Where the hell are we at? All right, I tell you what we're gonna do. Let me turn this back off again, and I'm gonna expand this out. This is something you can do when you have the when you have a pro account on here. I stretch this out to 50 frames, and then we're going to put this back in motion at 50 frames and see if we can see where this thing is. Okay, so we're wow, it's not as easy to pick out as it was earlier. And we've got this stuff here is clearly moving north. This stuff here seems to be on this kind of trajectory here. And I don't know, I guess if I had to guess, I'd say it's here. It's a little lower than I expected it to come off, though. I expected it to be up here towards Cedar Key when it came off. And it looks like it's come off. So we're going to go take a look at this on the on Mike's weather page here in just a minute. And we'll take a look and see what's going on, because you guys tell me, do you see rotation anywhere else? I mean, right now, let's draw everything in. This one's moving like this, and these seem to be kind of pulling off a little bit like this, and these seem to be moving like this down, and these here seem to be moving up. So I mean, I really see it right here. You can see here, this tends to want to arc like that. So I mean, we're right here, dude. That's a lot lower than I was expecting. Yeah, they should have an advisory. I'm gonna go. We'll go look at that right now, because this is interesting to me now, because it does look like it's emerging a little lower than we were expecting it. A lot lower than they were expecting it to. So, and it's worth noting, they're thinking it's way up here in the Panhandle. You know, let's go up to the Tallahassee radar and take a look. Let's put that in motion. Do we see another center of rotation up here? No. No, all that shit's moving in the same direction. You see that? All this is moving down. Okay, I don't see a rotation, do you? Look, even the all the storm barbs. Do you see the little white lines that come off of these storms? The little storm barbs, they're all pointing in that direction. Everything's moving in that direction. So if we go back down here to our Tampa Bay radar and click that, and we put it back in long motion again, what we see here again is I see a rotation center right offshore Clearwater, between Spring Hill and Clearwater, Florida, northwest of Tampa. And that is interesting. Now, you never know where the upper level low is going to end up. But let's go ahead and go over to Mike's weather page, and let's go a little further over to Tropical Tidbits. And let me show you this is what the models think it's going to do, and we're going to see where that stands up in the grand scheme of things. Here we go. Here we go, guys. This is what the models think it's going to do, but I'm seeing this rotation sitting right here. So that's interesting to me. If this relocates down here and then starts moving west, that would put it out over Bathwater for 3 days, and we could have a tropical storm coming into the Mississippi Delta. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is a small possibility there, because I'm seeing the rotation center exit off of Florida a lot lower than we were expecting it to. Here is the GEFS models, and look, they're showing this way up, staying hugging right along the coast, and really never developing into much of anything. But a lot of these models were run earlier, so we're going to have to see. I don't know when the Tropical Tidbits updates. Let's take a look at it on satellite. Now, don't look at the big ball. Everybody always looks at the big ball and says, oh, there it is, it's the big ball. No, that's not necessarily true. I'm looking for rotation in the clouds. I really don't see much. It's got that horrible shift at the end, unfortunately. I don't see much rotation, but I do see a little bit down here off of Clearwater. But up here where they say it is, I really don't see it. So again, an interesting development to see what happens for sure. But anyway, this is Mike's weather page. this is where they currently think it is, if you can believe that. Hello. But, oh, come on, don't start this. But this is where they think it is, guys, and it's going to come out and it's going to merge. It's not going to be a strong storm no matter what. This is not a hurricane for anybody involved. This is simply going to be, you know, just a thing. It's not going to be a big deal. All right. Yep, the strength guidance on this looking pretty good. You can see here most of the models show the wind speed staying below tropical storm strength. Currently only 2 models showing above tropical storm strength. However, this is an older model, and I'm trying to see if there's newer model runs. I'll tell you what, let's just go run the models. Let's go back to Mike's weather page, and let's just see what we got there. Let's go up here to the GFS model, and let me see if I can pick a better. All right, here we go. This is the GFS model, and I've put it on a closer one. This shows you the rain instead of the pressure. But let's see what we got here. See, it's showing it right about the same spot, but and it just goes out. It just goes out. So nothing's really showing any kind of real genesis on this. Genesis? All right, and well, I give you 20 points if you know that movie. Where was I last night? I was here doing a show with you guys. Yep, I did over 2 hours last night. You can go back and watch the recording. Yep. All right, so let's run this one forward here. And again, it doesn't show a lot, but it does try to start to form a low pressure center there right as it comes on shore into Louisiana. It's going to be a real rainy day. I really don't see this as being that bad of a storm for anybody. Let's go ahead and run the CMC. This one has it coming across, and then okay, it tries to form something right as it comes on shore into Louisiana. But again, it's not going to be anything crazy. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even worry about this one. I wouldn't even worry about it. All right, so I've been working on the graphics. I got the little thing around my picture, and I like that. I think that's really cool looking. It kind of it brings a more animation to the screen. I'm using that S10 cell phone that I have for the camera, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and keep it, and this is going to be how I'm going to be doing the camera from now on. It looks really nice. It's clean. The colors are vibrant. And I can, if I need to, if there's a big thunderstorm outside or something, I can literally take you guys, unplug it, and walk outside, and we can go on the road. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I think that the video comes out. The video looks really nice from this thing, and I definitely like that. Oh, I thought I did that last night. Oh, that's right. This crashed last night, and because it crashed, it didn't really capture my changes. That's another thing about OBS and especially Streamlabs. If you have an effect, or like let's say you set your screen up in a certain way, if you don't close the program out normally, it won't. It literally won't work. It kind of sucks the way it works. It won't save anything, and so next time you open it up, it literally has to start all over again. Wow, that worked really wonderfully. Look at this. Hey, hey now. How about that, guys? Is that good? I think it looks cool. Look at that, dude. Doesn't that look nice?
Yeah.
That's the best camera shot we've got yet. I think that's really colorful, really nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. So, but anyway, we'll have that going like that. And I'm going to be putting up other cameras too, so you can see what's going on. I got tower cams too, but there's nothing to see tonight, so I don't have those up. Hey, Arachnid, thank you for being here. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys. Galactic, Brandon, Carl, thank you all for being here. Oh, Carl, man, I hate headaches, dude. Yeah. Oh, crap, Carl. I hate to hear that. We just had a family member diagnosed with that new COVID, and they hospitalized her, and then they realized it's not the COVID. Once the actual blood test came back, it was a false positive on the swab, and it ended up being more serious, unfortunately. So I almost wish it was COVID now. But she should be okay. Everything looks up. Those volcanoes, there's 6 of them. I don't know if you can read the names there. I found this feed. I thought it was kind of a neat feed to be able to see the volcanoes, but it's kind of hard to read the names. Those are 6 different volcanoes. 2 of them, it's obviously night there, so you can't see anything unless it erupts. The one in the middle bottom, I know, is that's Kilauea out in Hawaii, and yeah, those are cool. Somebody suggested to me the other night that we take a look at doing some volcano stuff as well, so we're doing that. Skid Row, I put that up every now and then. It's just kind of fun sometimes. They've got 2 or 3 different cameras they're cycling through tonight. And then in the middle, these are both from Los Angeles. These are both supposed protests. They're supposedly live right now. Okay? I haven't seen these 2 specific videos before, I don't believe. And I do believe those 2 upright videos are live. I just want to make a plea to everyone out there. Upright video sucks. It's terrible. Please buy a little handle for your phone so that it can go in and you can hold it like this. They're only like $20, and that way you can do all your videos in landscape mode. Our eyes see in landscape mode. The earth is best viewed in landscape mode. I love when I watch something and I can't see all the people involved, but I can see their feet and the ground below, and I can see the sky and the birds and the planes flying over. It's a terrible format, and the fact that YouTube is really pushing it right now aggravates the shit out of me. Yeah, there was no more need for them out there. Yeah, Carl, there was no more reason for them out there. Everything's under control. These protests have been very mild compared to some of the other ones from the past, and there just really hasn't been much in the way of protesting at all, to be honest. It's been pretty mundane. They burned that one car day 1. No, that was day 2. And then there was a couple of skirmishes that day. And then day 3, they burned the 4 autonomous cars. And then it's kind of just completely fallen apart after that. The biggest thing we saw in the last week was the glass marijuana fields, where they went out and found juveniles picking marijuana that were in the country illegally, yada yada. You know the whole story. And so then there was some violence, because when they tried to leave, they were throwing rocks and bricks at the vans that were full of people, which I didn't find that to be all that good, but whatever. Yep, there you go. Meningitis, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, you'll never fully recover. Some people don't ever fully recover from something that serious. My mother had spinal meningitis. It was bad. We almost lost her. She talks about it all the time today, because it was a close one. It was a close one. All right, let's see what else is going on out there. I do have the storm chasers up. I am looking for more storm chasers. There's currently no tornado warnings anywhere in the country, but we're watching this, we're watching this area right here for development. Here's our 2 storm chasers that you see over here on the left. They're right here, and they're watching this complex here, just south of Stapleton, northeast of North Platte. That area right there is starting to hook up. You can see some hooks forming here and some anomalies, and there's a real good chance that that one might have some rotation within it. And sure enough, look at that. That's a couplet. I mean, there's a couplet right there. Let's see what this looks like in motion. These guys are getting out in front of this thing. It forms up right here south of Stapleton. See there? It blows up, it rolls over, it blows up again, and here it comes. Boom, there it is right there in that last frame. I'm going to cut this back to 14 frames because that's way too many frames. Okay, here we go. Look at that. You can see it wrapping up right there. There it is right there. So these storms are moving, it says 18 miles an hour. 29. 29's closer to what they're moving. They're actually moving pretty fast. And all the lines are coming over this way. So let's go ahead and let's run this out and see which way it's going to go. And here we go. They're generally always going faster than it estimates. I'm going to put 38. And you can see over here on the left, it's kind of hard to see because it's a little cut off. But Cozad, 52 minutes, Buffalo, 57. The good news is right now, it doesn't look to directly impact any large areas until it gets down here to Kearney. And it's going to pass off to the north of Lexington. These storm guys, they almost seem like they're a little too far north, but they might be chasing these couplets up here, these little teeny couplets up here. I don't know. But we're going to try to see if they're going to try to get more into position. I'm trying to see, what do we got? I mean, I'm talking potentially. It almost looks like there might be something going on there. You've got your yin-yang here for sure. Definitely a couplet there. And then you've got 2 more spots right here that both look like there. And then here, again, another one I would keep an eye on. So there's a lot going on this screen right now. And look further up, there's another one there. So I'm surprised they haven't issued more on these. But look, they're right in the middle of this hashtag area. This is an area where they're expecting some really bad weather tonight. And here it is. It's entering into that zone right now. And man, I am thirsty tonight. All the usual suspects are out tonight with their live 3-week-old videos. Wow, where the hell is that? We got video. Let me see, where can I put this? All right, let me see what I could do here. Oh, crap. Hold on, guys. I'm doing a little cleanup here. A little cleanup on aisle 3. I was going to say, I know I have browser sources I'm not using. So let me go up here and put this one here and see what happens. Okay, what I'm going to show, this is video coming out of, remember the flooded area that we covered the other last night when we ended the show? If you guys remember, we were doing coverage last night of basically it was a tornado, it was a flash flood emergency in Virginia. I now have somebody's rolling video here of a lot of what happened out there. And this is some of the first video I've seen. I've never seen some of this video before. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take the Skid Row thing out. And I'll go ahead and put this in. I want you guys to be able to kind of see. This is earlier. This is not live. It is earlier. And I'm going to let that play. Okay, this is up in the upper right corner. I'm going to switch this out. This is all footage from earlier today, sometime today, in Virginia. Okay, and this was all with that flash flood emergency that we covered last night. You guys remember that? Okay, yeah, this is actually New Jersey. Okay, so I'm gonna put this tag on there so people won't come in and tell me, you know, this is not new. There we go, New Jersey earlier. Okay, so that's where we're at right now, and watching everything happen here. There's 6 volcanoes there. I'll get that for you. Hold on. I know it's hard to see. You know, the majority of my viewers view us on a television or a computer. Those are the top 2 ways. But I do understand that some of you are watching me on a very small screen. I can't do a lot about it, but I am cognizant of it, and I try to remember that, and I try to, if it's something you might not see, I try to explain it. But anyway, those volcanoes in order, top row. Okay, the top row is Etna, Stromboli, and Popo. And the second row is Urgo and Kilauea and Sakajima. 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 I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm sorry. You got me on that one. I hate sounding like an idiot, but you got me on that one. All right. So anyway, but those are the six volcanoes up there. That Kilauea, she's just steaming. She gets all pissy every now and then. All right, let's see what's going on. Yep, yeah, Mississippi boy, Mississippi sometimes can be just as steamy as it is down here. We had some pretty good rains come through between about 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. and we cooled down, and we're doing pretty good tonight. We're at about 79 right now, and the humidity's at about 90%. So it's actually not as oppressive as it normally is this time of night. And so very happy about that. Anyway. All right, and I'm going to tell you guys, I want to show you something that I got today. I am saving this. We're not doing it tonight because this is going to be a 2 or 3 part series. I'm in the news. You guys know that. I'm into breaking news. I'm into all kinds of how things are covered, why things are covered, who covers, where covers. I love that kind of stuff. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, hey, Bill. Oh, okay. Visiting your son from Chicago. There you go. Yeah, he's from the greater Chicago Metroplex there, Bob. The Bob Zorski Superfan Show is probably my all-time favorite sketch on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, what if it was Ditka up against the entire NFL there, Bob? Yeah, I think Ditka would take him by 3 or 4 points there, Ted. I just love that. God, I love that. All right, anyway. Well, thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. I love Chicago. I've never been there. I just love the folks from there. Anyway, I got this at a antique shop for $5. This is a really good find. Okay, look at this. It's a coffee table book. All right, and it's called "We Interrupt This Broadcast." Right. This was a find for $5. It's a huge coffee table book, and it has 25 years of breaking news stories in it. And what's cool is it lists every story, and it has pictures and how it was covered. But you know what the neatest thing about, and remember, I'm the guy that I love, it's to me, it's not about the story, it's about how it was covered, right? And this thing in the back of this book, it still has the 2 discs that come with it. They've never been taken out of the package. These audio discs have all of the break-ins for all 50 of these stories. Whether it's Princess Diana's death, the attack on Pearl Harbor, they're all in this book. And we get 5 or 10 minutes of the break-in of that over the air. And so what I want to do is make a part of this show for a while. Some nights when it's not busy, I want to listen to 1 or 2 of these a night. I want to talk about it for a few minutes, about the story and about what happened. And what we'll do is I won't tell you what story we're doing. I'll just play the audio as if it's breaking in. We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin. And we'll play it, and then we'll react to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I stole it for $5. I know, dude. I love this kind of stuff. I really do. It's a really amazing book. I like that with this new camera, I can actually show you stuff and you can freaking see it. But yeah, it's called "We Interrupt This Broadcast." It's I think, I'll tell you what. One of the better buys I've had lately. Relive events that stopped our lives, from the Hindenburg to the death of Princess Diana. There's a lot of them in here, and I've gone back and listened to a few of these on the internet and stuff, and it's really interesting to hear how 50 years ago they broke in and told people about things that were going on in the news. And I think it'll be neat to go back and relive some of these moments using this book and these CDs. And so I'm just letting you know I'm doing this. It may not be tomorrow night, but within the next few nights we're going to do the first one or two of those, and I'll just break in and say we've got breaking news, and I'm just going to play it from 50 years ago when the Hindenburg, caught fire and came down and killed those people. And it would give us an opportunity to hear what that was like back then and then react to it here. I think it would really be cool. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I am really looking forward to it. All right, and again, I'm doing the replay of Jersey in the upper right. This is during the flooding. This is a compilation of videos that were taken over the last 24 hours. The center two are Los Angeles, where it looks like they have arrived back down there behind that federal building again. That looks like that's where the National Guard troops came in originally and set up. They're back out there again. There looks to be about 25 protesters. And the upper left, we're back in Los Angeles there. Nope, we're not back in Los Angeles there. Let me take that tag off. That tag should not be on there. I'm not sure where he's at, but he's not there. So let's just take that right off. I believe he is out in the... he's out with these other guys. He's just not on my other network. That's why I've got him up here. Where are my guys at? All right, so our two storm chasers in this storm split off. And one of them is heading up here while the other one is way down here. And of course, he's heading away from it, so you don't see it. It's behind him. But I assume he's trying to get out in front of this one. But it looks like, that circulation blew up and then kind of went away for a minute. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. I don't see any other storm chasers, nor do I see any tornado warnings anywhere. No flash flood emergencies, none of that kind of stuff. We do have some flash flood warnings: Arizona, North Carolina, Virginia. Yeah, oh my. Lots of flash flood warnings. Let me just make sure over in Jersey here and all that. Yeah. See, we've got, this is all still moving up. Let me get this back on reflectivity. It's not a lot, but this is all still, this is moving up into that area that's already flooded. This is Charlotte, North Carolina. This is going to move up. This is Virginia. And this is good. Once you get up to about here, this is all area that's very wet right now, and also all the way up to New Jersey. So any rain they get at this point in a few of these areas up there is going to really exacerbate the situation. But I don't see any emergencies issued anywhere. We've got a few power outages up here associated with this mess. Let me get the tower site out of Duluth. You can see this line just went through, and it took out 1,500 people's electricity in Washburn County. And let's see, what I thought I saw two of them, maybe not. And we've got a flash flood warning now issued, a considerable flash flood warning. When you guys say there seems to be a lot of flash flood warnings lately, yes. I'm not sure if it's cloud seeding or aliens or the government's control with lasers, or I'm kind of kidding and kind of not. I don't know what the cause is, but I'm telling you, you're correct. We seem to have a real good rash of actual floods. Really, when it looks like on the models that 2 to 4 inches are going to fall and 20 plus inches falls, you have to start wondering what's going on. How could something be to where it put down 4 or 5 times what the models were predicting? You know, it's not that unusual to see twice the amount of rain. that a model predicts, or to see no rain where models were predicting 2 inches. That's not that unusual, okay? But to see 20 inches where they were predicting 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inches, that is crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy. And so, yeah, I wonder about that. I really do. All right, let's see. Hey, Red. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry. I gender on here, and I am so sorry. I try not to. I don't know what y'all's genders are, and unless you tell me, I don't know. So, Red, thank you for being here. If I accidentally call you a he or a she, just write it off. I gender. I don't mean to do it. I certainly don't. I don't mind. People can be whatever gender. I don't care. I don't mean to offend. I'm just used to just saying boy or girl or whatever, and it's not. Anyway, we got a new little kitten here at the house. One of these mama kitties I can't get my hands on. I've been working on her. I'm finally petting her now, and I'm going to be able to scoop her up as soon as she's done with milking with this cat. I'm going to scoop her up, and she's getting fixed. I've already got it all set up. So that will be the latest one we've had that wandered up, and we're going to get her. We're going to get her fixed. So I'll get that little kitten maybe tonight. If I see it, I'll grab it. I want to show you guys this little kitten. It's the cutest little thing. It's a little fuzzy Siamese looking thing. Yeah, that subway was flooding. Did you see that? That's on that loop in the upper right. There's a shot there of the subway flooding, and it's pretty impressive. Those people seemed a little calmer than I probably would be, although I do stay calm in emergencies. That's the firefighter in me. But I would have been very concerned. I wouldn't have been showing it. I'm always like, oh man, you don't want to panic people. Oh, we're starting to get some color here in our 2 storm chasers. They both pulled over. I find it very interesting that they both show in 2 different locations, yet it looks like they're sitting right next to each other. I'm starting to wonder if maybe one of their GPSs isn't working or something. Look at that shot. That's one of those really long sprinklers. Have you ever seen those on the side of the road? They're like a really, really long sprinkler. They're like a half a mile long, and they make a big circle. Have you guys ever seen those? Oh my God! You know what? The first time I saw those, I freaked out. I don't know if I'll be able to find them right now, but let me try anyway. It's a really cool way to irrigate fields. These sprinklers that you see right here. That's a sprinkler. That the big long pipe with the tires on it. That's a sprinkler. And out in Texas, they have whole fields that are like a half a mile wide that are serviced by one of those. And the first time I saw those on satellite, I was freaking out, because Texas, you get into the desert when you get over into Texas, and you have to be able to irrigate out there. You're not going to be able to grow anything. And so they come up with this really unique way of doing it with these big long sprinkler devices. I don't know if I'll be able to find these things. But they're cool, because the first time I saw them, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Dalhart near the Texas Panhandle. That's why I was looking in the wrong spot. Boy, Google Maps sucks tonight. What's going on? Yeah, here we go. There we go. Oh, you're not going to believe this. Circle Farms. All right, you guys ready? Okay, so this is a place called Dalhart in the Texas Panhandle. Look at all them circles. What are those circles? What the hell are them circles? Well, they're farms. Look at this. And they use circular irrigation. Is that crazy or what? Look how long it is. It's 1 mile wide. And it's serviced by one sprinkler that rolls all the way around in a full circle. Every one of these is a square mile. These are square half mile. You can get 4 of these. These are smaller ones. But these will be fields of anything. These are like fields. This is the damnedest thing. When I first saw these, I was freaking out. I'm like, my God, humans are cool in this respect. I mean, we make some really cool shit. Look at this. The sprinkler spins around in a circle. The well is in the middle. And the sprinkler spins around in a circle and waters the entire thing at one time. Look how green and lush it is inside there where it waters. Is that crazy? It looks like the end of a log on a tree, like when you cut a tree. These rings you see are actually the tire marks for the sprinkler. Right there. I don't know how far in this will let me go. Look at that. There's the wellhead right in the middle. And there's the sprinkler. And the sprinkler runs, and there's where the tire tracks go in, the tires, all the way out. And then at the very end of the sprinkler, they'll have a big sprinkler at the end that shoots out further even at the very end. Look how long this fucking sprinkler is. And it goes all the way out right to here. Isn't that crazy? I think stuff like this is crazy. And look, the stuff that we do as humans is absolutely amazing to me. If you want to look at that yourself, I'm going to make it real easy for you, because a lot of people like to do research along the way. This should work. I'm going to put in a link. I think it'll work. No, it won't, because the link's too God bless it long. Share this location. Copy link. Let's try this. There you go. There you go. Click on that and you guys can check out the circular farms in the Texas Panhandle. Absolutely amazing, amazing thing that humans have done that most people don't even know about. I've never seen a damn show on it or nothing. I mean, what is it? How is that even possible that nobody told me about this? All right, here we go. These storms are starting to really pick up intensity now. I'm going to switch back and let's check the high-res radio velocity. Not seeing a lot in the way of couplets, but there is a lot of strong winds up in them clouds up there. Let's go back to the high-res reflectivity. We do have our one storm chaser here. That's Freddie McKinney, and he's heading away from it right now, but he'll turn around in just a minute. We'll get a shot of this thing, but that's him right there. Our other storm chaser, I'm starting to wonder if possibly his GPS isn't working or something, because he's not there. He's not in Broken Bow, I don't believe, because his shot looks very, very almost identical to the other guy's shot. See, look at this. They're approaching the same clump of trees. So I don't know. There might be an error or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll tell you what, just to make sure, let me put everything back up again. Let's put him up first. See, that can't be. He can't be where the GPS says he is. I don't believe. He'd be right in the middle of a huge big rainstorm. And he's over here by this guy. We got these two guys running together. So there's something going on here with the GPS. I'm not sure what. And then I got this live cam here that I put up. The storm is off to the right side of this cam here. You can see the storm just starting to come into view on the right. Our storm chaser in the upper left. Look at that. You can see the layers of that big supercell. Okay. All right. So, hey Heath, what's up, man? Yeah, had a good day. It was all right. I'll tell you guys all about it if you want. I woke up today and I had to renew my driver's license, and I had a couple weeks to do it. So I start figuring out, okay, what am I going to have to do? The tag's easy. I go online, I renew the tag, boom, easy. It'll be here in a couple days. But I had to renew my Florida driver's license, and I'm like, oh boy. I have renewed it online the last 2 times. My picture on my driver's license was 18 years old. We get our licenses down here for 8 years, I think, and that last one was older than 16 years. It was like 18 or 19 years old, and this time around they would not let me renew online because I had never done the gold star. I'd never gotten the gold star. And as of 2 months ago, I wouldn't even be able to fly, commercially anyway. And so they're making me do it. I don't mind doing it. I think it's kind of stupid, but I'm willing to go along to get along here on this one particular thing. I don't think that's a tornado. I think that's just the side of the storm that you're seeing there, but I am watching that. I think that's just the front of the supercell there. I almost think these two guys are in the same car. They're in the same car. One of them zoomed in so you can't see the hood, but I think they're both in the same car. Hey, that's double dipping, guys. That's double dipping. I don't think that counts. That's all right. We'll let him get away with it. All right, so anyway, so I go in there, or I start calling to get an appointment, because you got to make an appointment. The appointments are 25 days out. I call up and I'm like, look, and I'm one of these people, I don't call up and say, I called up and said, I want to speak to the tax collector. And they're like, do you mean a tax collector? I said, no, I said the tax collector, the one I elected. And I told him, I said, I'm very upset right now that my license expires in 10 or 12 days. I'm trying to renew it. I've got plenty of time, or at least I thought I did. And you're telling me that the state of Florida doesn't renew licenses anymore. The counties do it. And so I have to go see my county tax collector, which has 7 offices all around our county, and every one of them is booked out 24 days, 25 days, 26 days, 27 days. And I got to run around. I called around. I spoke to some nice folks, and they're like, well, here, and they finally got me an appointment. But it happened to be today, when right about the time I normally get to work. So I had to get my call screener to actually produce the early part of the show for me until I could get in there. But I got out there and I had to produce a birth certificate and a social security card and all this other stuff that I don't have, because all of my stuff was ruined in a flood. We had a flood 3 years ago. If you'd never been in a flood or had a house fire or something like that, and the whole rest of your life you live without all this shit that you used to have. It's interesting. Contracts and deeds and titles and death certificates and birth certificates and social security cards and pictures and all these important things, and we forget to grab that box when the flood happens. It happens. And this was all in a file cabinet over at my homestead where my mom lives. And they took almost 4 feet of water in Ian, and we lost all of it. And so I didn't even think about, all of a sudden I got to go get my birth certificate, and so I have to go down to the vital statistics and get that. And then I find out Social Security, They no longer even make you Social Security cards in the office anymore. 12 years ago, I walked in and got a Social Security card. I walked in and they made me one right there. It wasn't the regular card. That came in the mail, but they made me like a printout of a temporary card. And they don't even do that anymore. But I was told that as long as I bring a pay stub or a W-2 that has my full social on it and sign an affidavit, I'll be all right. So that's what I did. Brought the birth certificate. I had to bring proof of identification, including 2 pieces of mail from my house that had my name and my address on them and stuff like that. It was kind of weird. And so I asked the lady, I said, don't you find it weird that I have to go to the county to get a birth certificate and the federal government to get a Social Security card to prove to the state government that I still belong driving here after I've been driving here for 35 years? And she goes, I never really thought about it that way. I said, well, it's kind of nuts, isn't it? I mean, I said, you guys are making me produce a Social Security card and a birth certificate so that I can continue to drive a car. And I said, and I just did, well, it's the whole real ID thing, and we need to know that everybody, whatever. I thought it was kind of dumb. But I will say, I met the nicest folks today at that office. The 4 workers I interacted with were wonderful, and I never say good things about government workers. So I waited about 15 minutes past my appointment time, which is normal and acceptable. And so I had a good experience. I'm one of these people, I bitch about everything. So when I have a good experience, I like to tell people I had a good experience. I like you to understand I don't always have an absolute shit show. Sometimes it goes pretty well for me, and sometimes it doesn't. What's going on? Maybe a time delay. I don't know what you mean. Oh, Dominic, that's a good one. Farmers irrigate when they get around to it. I didn't see that. That's great. Oh, that's great. Red, what? I don't understand the ash and gases. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, the active volcanoes. Okay. I didn't know if you meant the stuff we were showing. Yeah, we ruin the environment more with one volcano in one day than we do all the tailpipes in the world for a week. So, it's one of those things, but there's nothing we can do about it. We don't want to seal them things up. They need to be able to breathe. And there's really nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, that's kind of how you got to look at it. I want you to notice that bottom camera. The storms are about to overtake that bottom camera. It's up on a tower. And I want you to notice it's starting to get buffeted. It's right below the 2 hippies there. All right, I'm just kidding. There are storm chaser guys. Long hair's in again. You notice that? All right, so anyway, notice that storm is really starting to encroach there on that tower site, and it's starting to really bounce around. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can move this up just a little bit. We can actually see. I'm going to move it up. I don't normally show this part but I'm going to go ahead and show it here now. I'll just put these guys up here like this. Notice down here, we've got sustained 20 with gust of 9. That doesn't even make sense. I wonder if that gust is above sustained. They normally don't do it that way. But that tower site's up here. Can you guys see where I'm pointing up here? It's that one right there. There's another one right near it in the next town over, and that's this one right here. But it's not reporting winds, so I think there's something wrong with that station. But it's coming in pretty good on this station. We're right here in this station. And this station, I believe, is looking in this direction. So you're seeing the storm on the right. You're seeing the storm on the right side of the screen because they're looking off in this direction down here. But that is going to be near Norfolk. No, not that Norfolk. This one. So we got winds at 20 miles an hour. See, those readings aren't right. There's no way it's 948 millibars. The lowest pressure I've ever been in was 948 millibars. That's why I know. And that's Hurricane Ian. When the eye wall went by, my weather station here registered 948 millibars. The lowest barometric pressure I've ever been in as a human being. At least in this life, corporeally. Heath, that's part of it. They're trying to make sure that everybody that has a driver's license is someone who is eligible to drive. And the other main thing they're doing it for, and I understand why they're doing it. That's why I didn't come on so harshly at the beginning. I understand why they're doing it. My Florida license with the star on it, it is federal ID now. Once it has that star, that means it's compliant with the federal government's ID standards, and my Florida driver's license is now it's a nationally accepted form of identification, even more than it was before, I guess. And you can use it even internationally. So with that star on it, I have proven my residency, my legality, my citizenship, and all of those different things. And so that's the deal. We got storms near here. Let me go take a look at this real quick. I didn't see that kind of pop up down here. Oh shit, that's coming this way. No, it's not. We're up over this way, so this is moving up by us here. No, we're not going to get any of that. All right. No big deal there, huh? All right, let's go back up here. We have no tornado warnings at this point. And again, we're watching this weather station. It is really starting to come in on this weather station. Now, look at that. It's overtaking it. And this tower, this is up really high on a tower. So I'm going to keep that up. We'll keep watching it. Look at, whoa, what are we seeing here? What are we seeing here? Not you. The other guy. What the f... There's definitely a lowering there. In the sunset, it's beautiful. Of course, this thing keeps freaking freezing up. I don't think it's us, though. I think it's him. Yeah, it's him. You can see it sending out so many frames, and then it stops and catches up. Yeah, we are watching that, boy. He's got rain coming down. We've got definitely have a lowering there, but it's hard to tell from the angle and the. I can't believe how much color is coming in. It's beautiful. Looks like a cornfield. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. I do try. I try to get it going here. Oh, don't be teasing us with that ice cream unless you got enough for everybody now. Okay, guys, the upper left, one of our storm chasers here in this same complex, but I don't have a pin on him. Upper right, this was earlier today in Jersey, showing you the flooding. Absolutely amazing flooding. These folks are on a subway, and the water is rising. A scary situation for those folks. Upper middle, these are supposed to be live. Looking at the sun angle, I believe it is live in Los Angeles. Sunset in Los Angeles is in less than an hour. So I do believe those two are still live with the sun that low in the sky, and it is coming down. We also have the volcano watch going on with 6 different views of 6 different volcanoes around the world. And we also are watching storm chasers down here. Look at that, 32-mile-an-hour winds now at that tower site. We literally have 32-mile-an-hour winds here at the tower site. Look at this. And it is being buffeted right now by winds as this storm is approaching. And it is a pretty strong line of storms, and it looks like it probably has some straight line winds. So we're watching this stationary tower site as this storm goes over. This is the Stanton County Emergency Management is where this tower is. It's up on the Emergency Management Broadcast Tower up there. All right, let's bring this down. Bring this down. Fat dogs, you are nowhere. They're at Fat Dogs. Meanwhile, this guy's out in the middle of the storm. But he's having some bandwidth issues here in this parking lot, unfortunately. We keep watching that little lowering up there, but I don't know if that's just a cloud poking down or something. What the hell's going on with that? I've been looking for protests. I will continue to look for specifically protest videos. I know that's a lot of people are interested in what's going on with the protests for one reason or another, and so I do try. But as always, as I always complain about, there is a lot of people up here tonight that are putting out spoof lives. Lots of spoof lives. This one here is the Federal Building anti-ice protest. That's one of those two there I got in the center. And then you got oh, that's SoCal Shorts. I think that's live too. Okay, that loop video has run its loop 2 or 3 times. I'm going to replace it out now. And I've got another protest video that's coming out of LA. So let's get rid of that. Why is that guy on there? That thing is freezing up so bad. It's like, oop, okay. And I don't believe that's us on this end. I don't buy it. All right. Why is this not coming on? Oh, maybe because the link wasn't right. There we go. That's another protest that's going on in Los Angeles as well. Upper right now. That should be live. Looking at the sun angle, that should be about right. Notice all those videos, the sun is really low in the sky in all three of those videos, and it's all about the same color. So I think we're all live. I think those three shots are all live. Carl, you get feeling better, buddy. Stay strong. You'll get through it. 32 miles an hour on that wind at that tower site. That thing is really being buffeted up there. And it looks like our one storm chaser is still doing that locking up thing. And I'm going to go ahead and move this back down so we can see everybody here. All three of those views are on this same thunderstorm complex. It's south of Sioux Falls, west of Sioux City, and still at 32 mile an hour winds up on that tower. Damn. All right, let's see. Well, Wesley, there is no rioters. The only thing we have is the top three on the right and the center and the top. Those three views are all live, and they're all in LA, and they're all the current protesters. I have not seen anything that would be classified as rioting in weeks, except at the glass farms where they did the protest there. When the people were leaving, there was some violence there. Some people got hurt. Yes, those are LA. That's what the caption on the video says. It's LA. I know I know the middle one is LA for sure, because I know which building that is from all the coverage I've done. The other two I can't confirm or deny, but the sun angle is the same in all three videos. It's getting real low in the sky. We're about 50 minutes to sunset here in LA. And of course, sun has pretty much set here where the storm chasers are. They're in Nebraska and Omaha and all this whole area up here. Yeah. Did you guys ever see that? There was a movie. I think it had John Boy, the guy that played John Boy in it. It was a movie about a plane crash in Sioux Falls, Sioux City. It was one of the two. And it was a plane that came in, and they were having a hard time controlling it, and it cartwheeled in, and they ended up saving a bunch of people out of that plane, including a lot of the flight crew. The cockpit literally rolled over on itself and rolled off into a field, and they went and found the cockpit, and some of the guys were still alive inside. It was amazing. It was a good movie. It was a good movie. I'll try to see if I can come up with a name of it. There it is. Yep, the movie was called Crash Landing, The Rescue of Flight 232. It starred James Coburn, which was a huge star at the time. It also had a bunch of other folks in it, including Richard Thomas, the guy that played John Boy in the Waltons. But yeah, that's a great movie. If you guys if you're into like plane crash movies where where it's really into it, and they really make it realistic for the time, this movie was really, really good. And we showed this movie at the firehouse. This was one of those movies that we had the tape at the firehouse, and the new guys watched it. We would show these for the guys, and we'd all hang out and we'd watch these movies together. And this was one of them, because the guy came to the airport and said, look, we got to put a plan together in case a plane crashes. And sure enough, 6 months after he puts this whole plan together, a plane crashes, and thank God he had everything ready. It was really good. It's a great early firefighter movie. Anyway, it was made in 1992, and oh. It won a Primetime Emmy. Wow. Had Charlton Heston in it too. I forgot he was in it. He was big. All right, let's see here. Yep, you got it. The Rescue of Flight 232. It's a great movie. Great movie. When I saw Sioux City, I'm like, oh, I know where that's at. I know where that's at. I like to tell you guys, about good movies. There's so many good movies out there that people live their whole life and die and never watch. And there's also so much shit out there, and you watch it and it's garbage. There's movies like that. That's a really good movie. It's a really, really good movie. Especially if you're into firefighting stuff and, emergency stuff and communications and all that, it's very, very interesting movie. All right, so still no tornado warnings. I am watching that right now. We do have this area. The National Weather Service is still showing this hash marked area. It has gotten smaller as the line moves. They keep moving the hash mark area down, but there is still a hash mark area here, which is an area that can produce tornadoes. Oh boy, I've just yawned again. See, when I yawn and you guys yawn and they're like, oh man, this guy makes me yawn. Holy shit. What's wrong with this guy, man? He sucks. All right, let me go back over here. There was a couple things I posted on the channel that I wanted to mention. I'm very tired tonight. Today was a very stressful day in a way, because I had to get done what I had to get done today, or I wasn't going to be able to drive an automobile in the state of Florida anymore. And that was kind of important to me and stuff. I'll be honest, this real ID thing's been stressing me out, because I had several friends that got all messed up with it and couldn't get it. All right, I do want to mention Night of Nights is coming up. It's a tradition that ham radio operators do to keep the maritime Morse code alive. This happened 3 nights ago, but just to tell you about what happened, we used to use Morse code to stay in contact with our ships offshore. The system is no longer necessary, because we now have redundant methods now that don't involve low band radio, and they don't involve Morse code. But these guys still like to get together at the old stations and do the Morse code back and forth, and so that's kind of cool. When they made the last call out of there, and they shut it down for the last time these guys got together, and they're like, you know what, not going to happen. So this group of passionate radio operators, engineers, historians, they didn't stay silent for long. Instead, they said, you know what, we're going to launch a movement. Thus born the Maritime Radio Historical Society, a grassroots effort to restore and preserve the KPH receiving station at Point Reyes and the Bolinas transmitter site, both jewels of the pre-digital maritime communications era. Each July 12th, ever since the shutdown, each July 12th, they have fired up the old transmitters and restored commercial Morse code service for one glorious night, the Night of Nights. This year, in this year's broadcast, a blend of tradition and technology. The 2025 Night of Nights is more than a ceremonial broadcast. It's a fully operational, coordinated transmission. I put this up after it happened. I really wish I would have thought about it. I mean, we could actually have probably received this, possibly, depending on the ionosphere, and that would have been really cool. But I just wanted to mention it. This is just like the Marconi Towers up in the Northeast, and just like a lot of other places like the Radio Museum that is so amazing in Huntsville, Alabama. Radio tradition is out there, and it's being kept alive, whether it's an old radio station or an old piece of equipment or an old system like this, that they're still activating and keeping it alive. And I think that's really, really cool. They just did a big balloon launch. Yoda, America's campers, launched the furthest traveling amateur radio balloons yet. A new generation of hams just made amateur radio history again. In June, 32 young amateur radio operators from across the globe gathered in Thornton, Colorado for the annual Youth on the Air, or YODA, America's Camp. It's immersive, week-long experience focused in expanding the boundaries of ham radio through education, experimentation, and hands-on innovation. It truly does spark science. It makes kids love science, and that's what's great about ham radio. They did start out with a few weather delays, but before long they were launching balloons up into the sky. These campers collaborated with Edge of Space Science, EOSS, to build and launch a high-altitude balloon equipped with APRS tracking. That's APRS is the Automated Packet Radio System, I think it is, tracking a near-space camera system. The primary balloon soared 96,600 feet, well into the stratosphere, capturing breathtaking video footage of the Earth from above. But weather had other plans, and the next launches didn't go so well. Their dual Pico balloons launched with small, resilient balloons designed for ultra-long flights. Rather, they abandoned that plan because those balloons couldn't take this kind of weather, I guess. So, but they did get some of those up. And you know, ballooning, remember, if you remember the Chinese balloon that went over, and then all of a sudden, after the Chinese balloon went over and everybody got pissed because they didn't shoot it down, then all of a sudden they shoot down two more balloons, one over Canada and one over Oregon or something. You remember that? Those two balloons were finally determined to be amateur radio Pico balloons. They used a $1 million missile to shoot down an $8 balloon. Yeah, it's funny. You gotta laugh, because that's our money. Hey, RuPaul. Or RuPaul. I don't know how you pronounce it. You know what? CW, in a way, is a digital mode, because it uses a form of code. That is a very good point that I've never really thought about. Oh, yes, to Plurimus Unum. Thank you for coming in tonight. I appreciate that. Lots of folks in tonight. Chicago feed. I'm going to get the feeds back up. We've had thunderstorms every day. They keep taking them out. Yeah, you know what they should have shot it down with? Don't they just have like 30 caliber or something? I don't know. Don't they have a little gun on the front or something? I mean, is all they have these big expensive missiles now? Whatever. It was an amateur radio Pico balloon. They didn't need to shoot it down. But after not shooting down the first one, the last thing they were going to do is not shoot down the second one. Oh my God, our government. Okay, well, I hope I got it pretty good there. Rupel. I hope it's Rupel. I think that's probably right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to think what else there was I wanted to talk about tonight. It's been a crazy week. Tomorrow, I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm too tired. But in the morning, I'm going to get up. I normally get up around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to get all 8 of these computers back up broadcasting. So start looking for them tomorrow about mid-morning. You'll start seeing them pop on again, and I'm going to do one of my load tests again tomorrow and see if I can get all 8 systems. Yeah. We'll see if I can get it all going again. But I'm going to have Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Baltimore, LA, and what's the other one? Indianapolis, I think. And then the 7-2. Yeah, and the 7-2. Yeah. And the 7-2 I'm moving because I'm going to be moving LA over to the Linux machine. I got a Linux super machine over here that I'm learning how to use. I had bad luck learning Linux at first, but Joseph set this thing up to where it works. It works kind of like Windows. He's made it as easy for me as he can, and I'm starting to get it, dude. I've been broadcasting on it. It's working, and you know what's great about Linux? It runs a lot quicker and cleaner than Windows does. So as long as you can get it to work, that's the thing. Mostly Windows compatibility wise is better than Linux. Linux is better than Windows in just about every other reason. And so I'm happy that it's working, and I'm learning how to use it. I haven't run into any roadblocks yet, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah. You were eating red meat and you thought of me. I love it. Um, Bill, I wouldn't mind doing something that if we can get enough folks together, I wouldn't mind doing a demonstration one night right here on the show. I'll hook the radio up to the broadcast, and I'll put the radio in one ear and I'll put me in the other ear, and that way you guys can hear the radio, and I will. We can go on and see who we can talk to and how far away they are. We'll talk through the stratosphere, radio to radio on HF. I would love to do something like that. That actually sounds like fun. I just want to make sure I have 6 or 8 guys that have radios, and then we can show everybody else kind of what we do. It would be fun. I think you guys would find it interesting that I actually have a radio here that's hooked to a big long wire that's strung around my yard. And on that radio, I bounce off of the deflector shield, basically, that the planet has up there, the ionosphere, and I hit that ionosphere, and like a piece of glass, it reflects back down again. And if it comes down and it hits something reflective, it reflects back up again. Then it reflects back down again. That's what they call a multi-hop. And it's really cool. You can actually speak all over the world. I've spoke to people in Japan, radio to radio. Now, they're more than just over the horizon. They're on the other side of the world. And my radio wave runs along the ionosphere all the way to Japan. It's really cool. It's really cool. And it's not as cool now as it used to be. I understand that. I'm not an idiot that doesn't understand that. Back in the day, back when phones didn't even reach that far necessarily, not every place in the world even had phones in the 70s and 80s, and you could talk to people in Jamaica or in the Dominican Republic, places that were really expensive to talk to back then. A lot of people got into ham radio because their family was into it, and their family lived in the Caribbean, or their family lived in Europe. And it was actually a pretty inexpensive way to talk when you looked at how much the intercontinental phone rates were back in the 70s and 80s using the long line system. Man, that's something neat. I don't know if you guys know about. Well, when you say such a powerful radio, I put out 100 watts. Most countries, HF 100 watts is legal. I'm not putting out mega wattage. You don't need mega wattage. You only need mega wattage if you want to talk when the atmosphere is bad, or if you want to talk consistently every day with someone across the world, because the atmosphere, whether it cooperates or not, you can power your way through. And high wattage works if you're doing experimentation and stuff like that, and you want to talk and try to see what you can get up on it. But the truth is, I don't even have, I talk what they call barefoot. I do not use an amplifier. My radio puts out 100 watts. I generally have it set at about 80 watts. When I'm doing digital, I generally set it at about 40 or 50 watts. So not using big wattage. It doesn't take big power to talk across the world. What it takes is a really good antenna, a good radio, and it takes an ionosphere that's cooperating, and then a good radio and a good antenna on the other side. That's what makes it so cool, is it takes time and money and talent on both sides to make it work. But it does work. Well, that's what's cool about ham radio. Ham radio is known for its international friendship. And we don't get involved in all that on ham radio as far as wars and all that bullshit. The neat thing about ham radio, I was on a while back on FT8, and I was making contacts with Russia and Ukraine and Iran and Israel all in the same hour. Those guys don't give a shit. They're ham radio guys. You know what? Their government's doing all this over here, whatever. They're ham radio guys, man. And the ham radio, it's different. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. 1500 watt dead key. There you go. I've never talked at 1500 watt. I think the maximum my voice has been on is about 200 watts. Other than my radio station, which is 25,000 watts, but we won't count that. I don't know what the max is in Germany, but I have a funny feeling that you could probably talk the same as me. I can go up to 1500 on most HF bands, but I choose not to. Barefoot's all you need. Because you know what? If I can talk to anybody all the time, it's not fun anymore. It's fun when I have to look at the science and look at the propagation and figure out who's talking to who. That's what makes it fun. And I want to study the science. It's the science of it that I really like. There's a lot of great websites out there that you guys have complete free access to, whether you're a ham radio operator or not. And you can see the propagation in the world, who's talking, where they're talking, how it's working. We've got right now a 6 meter opening right now over the central part of the country, right over Kansas City. Here, and I'll show that. This is called PSK Reporter, and you can find it at this link. I'll put it in there so you guys can save it. But PSK Reporter allows you to look at different bands and even look at different operators and see what's working. I want you to notice this thick line right here. What that tells me is there is a reflective surface right here sitting over Kansas, and all these people here are able to talk to all these people up here freely right now. There's also some people talking in different directions, but I can tell there's a reflective surface. So what I would do is I would direct my directional antenna back towards that cross point right here. See where everything's crossing right here? Where the most lines cross? I would direct my 6-meter 5-element beam, which I have up right now on my old derrick. I got it. I point it right at that apex where everything comes together right there, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm talking to Oregon right there on 6 meters. Now I can go in here. Let's see what all the bands are doing. I click that, I click go, and now this is going to show me all the bands. 20 is that the gold color, the yellow color is 17. These are all the different bands. Not much going on in Alaska tonight. Wow. We'll zoom out. There you go. There's the world, and you can see right now that there's not a lot going on over on the Pacific, on the other side of the Pacific. Not a lot of radio going on over there right now. They're right in the middle of day cycle. There's a slight possibility there's some solar activity going on or something, because there's very little activity over there. But over here, we've got a lot of openings between Europe and the United States. Why? Look, they're running the gray line. If you're right where it's getting dark and you aim your beam down the gray line, you'll end up coming into Europe over here on the gray line on the other side. You can also run the gray line in the morning. I talked to Japan early in the morning on the gray line. Right about the time it starts to come sun up here, I can talk to people in Japan where the sun is setting. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, Dominic, I know people that do the QRP stuff. I don't. I just like to do 100 watts and be done with it. Yeah, called gray line propagation. And boy, it works. It works. All right. Yeah, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here, everybody, tonight. We're doing pretty good. Yep. So I gave you the link to this so you guys can pull up your own. And then there's another site we use called this one here. This is a real-time propagation map, and look at this. It shows me where VHF is propagating. It uses that APRS system I talked about earlier, and it uses automatic beacons and automatic packet transmitters and receivers to figure out where openings are around the country. And sometimes this whole part of the map will turn blood red. When that happens, I direct my sideband 20-meter beam. 2-meter beam. I got a 2-meter beam that I've turned sideways so that it's horizontally polarized, and I shoot it up towards Tampa or up towards the Panhandle. I've made 300 mile distant contacts on 2 meters, which is a local band, because I found an opening on this page. Okay, and this page will show you, if you're into VHF, it'll show you where the VHF openings are. And then if you click that little HF button up in the corner, it'll then show you where all of the activity is altogether. And here up at top, you can see if you click 3.5, there will show you where the 3.5 is. These are all the different bands. And on this one, it goes by frequency, not by the meters. So it's kind of weird. 7 is 40 meters. And there's your propagation. So right now around the United States, 40 meters is doing pretty good right now. 14 meters around the United States, again, doing really good right now. So things are kind of open right now. But this map will give you that information. And all of this stuff is free. It had warmed up to a balmy 80 below. Oh man, you guys don't even want to know. I applied. I was going to go to Antarctica. I applied to go down. I wanted to go. They were looking for expedition members. I had the little bullshit degree I had to have. I would have had to quit my job, but I had several departments that would have taken me right back. I was going to go and come down to the end. There was a bunch of us that applied, and I didn't get it. But I actually applied to go work a 6-month hitch at an Antarctic station, and started going through the process on that, and started reading all about it and studying. And man, I wanted to do it so bad. It would have been so cool. 6 months down there. It would have been a whole like a whole different life, a whole different culture, a whole different environment, a whole different lifestyle. It would have been really neat. And then you come home. I don't know. I would have loved to do that. Yeah, boy, you get a really good 2 meter, and you get a really good 2 meter repeater. You're up there. You know, you can talk really far. There's a repeater up on a mountain up in the north up there, and the big thing is to see how far you can hit on that repeater. And it's funny because I know people that have swear they've talked from 5 states on that repeater: North and South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia, all that you can actually call from one mountain in each of those states and get, I think it's Mount Mitchell or whichever it is, and you can actually hit that. And I thought that was really cool. Hey Mickey, what's going on? We're talking ham radio just for a minute, but the storms are not that severe right now, and the protesting is looks like it's winding down. They're all walking home up there. We've got 3 different shots of the protests in LA, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. But we are watching those. We've got 3 storm chasing and 1 static video on the left of the storms here that we are watching west of Omaha. And we also are watching 6 live volcanoes tonight that aren't doing much of anything. And that's what we've got going on. A little slower night than I was expecting. I was actually figuring we might actually get a slightly busier night when I saw the National Hurricane Center put up the expectations for tonight, but it didn't quite pan out. But that's good. That's good for a lot of folks that aren't going to get messed up now because of that. All right, if you guys hit that subscribe if you haven't done it, I really would appreciate that. Let's see here. Wow, 1,500 miles on 2 meter. That is serious shit right there, because it doesn't bounce off the ionosphere. The only way is, I mean, seriously, you were getting a multi-hop through ducting, probably tropospheric ducting. You can get 1 to 300 miles on ducting. So if you had a 3 or 4 hops. But man, that would have been one hell of a setup that day. Oh man. You know how I know the tropospheric ducting's bad? Because I'm at work and people start calling in and saying, I can't hear you in the Cape. I can't hear you in North Fort Myers. I can't hear you on Pine Island. All I hear is Spanish music. And what that tells me is the tropospheric ducting is running down the state. And we're getting clobbered by Maxima in St. Petersburg on the same frequency. But you know what it also means? We're clobbering the station down in Key West on the same frequency. So it is what it is. That's a big opening. With the rubber ducky, yeah, rubber ducky antennas suck. They're literally a convenience item. If you're serious, you gotta, like, if you're gonna hook up a radio, like you see these radios with these rubber duckies on them. These antennas suck. They're really not. They're not the good. They're fine if you're carrying it around and you need it to be, convenient. But like, if you're gonna set up somewhere in a building, or you want to be able to talk out somewhere, just buy a mobile antenna and get the little adapter to go on here and hook it up and throw that mobile antenna on the metal roof above the house, or on an oven pan Stick it on an oven pan and stick it up on the roof so you got a ground plane. It needs to stick to something metal because it gets a ground from that. And get you a 5/8 wave or even a quarter wave, whatever. Stick it on a pan, stick it on a metal roof, and then run that wire down and run it into your house and get that little adapter and stick it on your radio, and then get you a little breast mic, and boom, you got a bass. This is a 10 watt, this the UV25 10 watt radio, and I can just clip it on something, and there you go. I've got my antenna hooked up, I got my mic, I got my USB-C plug in the back keeping it charged, and boom, I've got a bass radio right here. Because the antenna is the weak part. Ham radio people, all they usually want to talk about is radios, and the truth is, a good radio is a good radio. People always talk about, I got this Icom, it's such a great radio. I got this Yahoo. You know, the truth is, they're all pretty good. What counts is your antenna, number one. Your height and location, number two. Your feed line and loss, number three. We'll get to the radio eventually. We're almost there. But you guys can see the radio is not the most important part. As long as it's putting out right and it's receiving normally, the radio's not that big a deal. Any radio will get you by. It's that antenna, it's the placement of the antenna, the feed line loss to the antenna. Those are the three most important things. And let me know if you don't agree. Sound like truckers. Okay, Midland. I'll tell you what. I used Midland LMR, land mobile radios, when I was at the fire service. We had Motorola's and we had Midlands. And I found those Midlands to be almost every bit as good as those Motorola's. They were great radios. I love Midland radios. Some of those old 35, 40-year-old radios are still out there and they're still working. So yeah, good radios. I watch people put all their time into things that aren't that important, when what's really, really important is that piece of aluminum or that wire or whatever. Yeah. Mickey, I thank you. I agree. I'm glad you agree. I don't know. I know it's fun to talk about the radios, but I just get any old radio and then I build me like the best antenna ever. All right, let's move on a little bit. What else we got going on out there, guys? We are watching that tower site was just taken over by the storm. That tower site is right here. And you look at this. This storm is coming in really hard on this tower site. And so here's what it looks like there now. Look at that. And you can see the rain coming from behind the tower site. The tower's facing away from the storm. Lots of lightning. Wow. I don't know what's going on there. I think something got on the lens. All right, but anyway, yep, we're going to watch that. And we've got our storm chasers up here. I think they're both in the same car. I think one of their cars broke down because the one car was left behind, and they're both in the same car now. I don't know if you've noticed that. They're both in the same car. That's all right. It's cheating, but we'll let it go. I don't know. I don't know. They are both moving. Maybe it's just a delay. I guess one of them's lagged out is what it is. But anyway, that's Storm Runner Media and Freddie McKinney, our two storm chasers out there tonight. All right, let me do a quick news check. Oh my God. All right, I don't really see anything that's that big a deal right there. Let me check the top 10 scanners and see what we got here, if there's anything going on out there. Nope, nothing going on. We've got the usual Indianapolis, Cleveland. You know, Cleveland's one that I didn't look up. I didn't do anything with yet, but Cleveland's up high on this all the time. You know, Indianapolis. I never would have thought Indianapolis would be a good town for a scanner, but the truth is, over on Broadcastify, I don't know why this is, but over on Broadcastify, most nights, Indianapolis Metropolitan Police in Indianapolis, Indiana, in Marion County, is the number one scanner in the country, night after night after night, and it has been for several years. It could be it's just really clear and it's all there and it's fun to listen to. I don't know. I don't recall that city coming up on any list as the top 10 worst this or that or the other thing. I don't know. Kind of weird. Well, Bill, we would welcome you here, as we're welcoming so many people. We earned a congressional seat in this last census, and in 5 years, early in the next presidential term, I expect to win 3 more congressional seats in the state of Florida. We have people moving here so fast, but the news is we've got room. We've got room. We're building shit as quick as we can build it down here. There ain't a contractor that ain't booked up for 3 years. They're building these cookie cutters so fast, these contractors. They're starting the first one, they're ending the last one, and there's one in the middle. It's crazy. They're still building the houses in the back. The houses in the front already got people all living in them. I call it housing puppy mill because that's what it is. But we've got all kinds of stuff down here. Everybody likes to move down here and move into a HOA or a gated community or a condominium and get down by the beach and all that. I recommend to people go to the inland areas like Sebring or Lake Placid and get a nice little place on one of those big lakes out there. It's just beautiful, and it's a little town. It's not all the bullshit like you got along the coast. You can find some really nice little towns to live in that still exist here in Florida, as long as you don't give a shit how far you live from the beach. You know, I live 20 minutes from the beach, 30 minutes from the beach, and you know what? Never go there. Haven't swam in the ocean in 25 years. Don't like sand in my crotch. Don't like stepping in water I can't see. And if you can live without the beach and the sand grit in your crotch, then you can find some really nice places to live. And you don't have to go along the coast. You can save money, go by a lake somewhere in the middle of the state. Old Florida is just wonderful. And yeah. Okay, yeah, Miami's a lifestyle, not one I would like. But Miami's a neat place. Miami's neat. It's a cultural exchange city. There's a lot of Cuban influence down there, and I love the Cuban folks. We have a unique respect for Cuban folks down here, and I'll tell you why. Because they come over here and they don't put up with the bullshit over here because they've had to deal with it in their country, and they're very different when they come here, and their culture is robust, and they have very big family values and stuff. And down here in South Florida, we have a lot of Cuban influence, especially in Miami, and I consider it a good thing. They're upstanding citizens because where they come from, it ain't working worth the shit, and they like it here. Alligator Alcatraz. I am about an hour and 25 minutes from Alligator Alcatraz. I drove down there and drove by it on the way to Miami about a week ago, and I was surprised they actually have big green street signs out there, like regular interstate street signs that say Alligator Alcatraz, and that's all it says. Our local media just went down there, And our local media, which I know these people, I work with these people, and they went down there and they toured the place and they checked it out, and it's ridiculous. They keep getting reports that there's maggots in the food, and they're making them all stand out in the hot sun, and they're not letting them bathe every day, and there's no comfortable place to sleep. And then they bring all these people in there and they show them around, and they're like, here, lay in the bed, here, eat the food. Every tent is air conditioned to 75 degrees. They are not out in the mosquitoes. There's no alligators inside the fence. Now, if you jump the fence, you're going to deal with the alligators, and they're pretty aggressive down there. But regardless of how you feel about it politically, the place is nicer than most Florida prisons. I'd rather be at Alligator Alcatraz than Stark. I mean, some of our prisons here in Florida are notoriously shitholes. Yeah, the Miccosukee and Seminole tribes, there is some folks that live down there, but nowhere near the actual runway. Where the Alligator Alcatraz is literally in a place where there's nothing else. No, there's no sign that says do not pick up hitchhikers, but there probably should be. I want to show you guys real quick. People have no idea where this Alligator Alcatraz is, and it is really in one of the most remote parts of Florida. Now, out west, this would not be considered very remote, but for Florida, this is pretty damn remote. So if I can get this thing to zoom here, let me get close enough, and then I'll switch the screens. Okay, so here's what we got, and there's the state of Florida. It's the country's wang. Anyway, it's hanging down like wangs do, and here we are. We're down here. You can see right above the interstate here, right above. This is called Alligator Alley. Right above this interstate is where the Everglades pretty much start, and you can see this whole area is Everglades. You can see there's nothing down there. Now, as we zoom in, this is the East Trail, this road that comes down. This is US 41. This is what they call the Tampa-Miami Trail, which over the years we just call the Tamiami Trail. And as you come down here, you go through Ochopee. You're north of Everglades City. This is where the Indian reserves are, the Indian preserves. There's several of them all along this area here. Once you get out past all that, you get out here where there's pretty much nothing, okay? There's just really nothing out here. And I want you to see, when I say there's nothing out here, there is nothing out here, okay? Nothing. And then all of a sudden, there's an airport out in the middle of nowhere. That is Alligator Alcatraz. It's the Dade Collier Training and Transportation Airport Facility, okay? And all it is a runway. All it is a runway. And what they used this runway for was touch and goes. Back before the days that we have now of wonderful simulations, you know, these flight simulators where they have the whole plane, you're literally sitting in a whole mock-up of a plane with all the windows and everything, and you're landing and taking off and all this. Back before they had all that, the guys would go out and do touch and goes out here in the middle of the Everglades, so that if they splashed one of these big planes, they didn't kill anybody else. Well, that's all this is. It's a training airport. There's one little building, and that's a radio building right here. And that's it. There's really nothing else. See, there's a little tower, a little radio building right there, and that's all there is. So what they've done is they've come out here, and they have asphalted over the asphalt that was already there, and they've made it all new and fresh. And then they've come in here and they've put a bunch of what they call semi-permanent structures, which are basically like really thick, robust tents. These tents are designed to handle up to Category 2 winds, but they do not leave people in them during hurricanes. I want to make that clear as well. All right. So what they did was They had to put up something for these people to live in out there while they're waiting to be transferred. Now, if you're going to be flying people in and flying people out into a prison and out of a prison, okay, there's one problem with that. Prisons don't have runways. So what they're doing is, instead of building a runway at a prison or busing all these people back, this way you get flown into here, you're dropped off, and then you stay here until you're ready to be flown out. It makes it easy and simple. It is not just a tent. It's actually a frame tent that has a very thick canvas over it that is actually has an insulating quality to it, and it is air conditioned. They actually air condition these things. So I'm just going to show you guys. We're going to go to Google Photos, and we'll just take a quick peek here at some of the photos that have been sent in about Alligator Alcatraz. This is what it looks like inside the tents. You can see that basically, just like in any jail, there is secure areas where they sleep and where they spend their common time together. And here's some of the prison guards. And here's another shot of the tent right there. Let me see if I can. Let me just fix this real quick. Here, let's just do it this way. It's easier. All right, there we go. Oh, that looks like the president right there. And here's what it looks like. That's what it looked like before they put anything there. That's that little parking lot that was there, and that big pad that had the one plane on it. And here's kind of more what it looks like now on that one side. They've got all these. These are billeting trailers. These are for the workers to sleep in. And let's see. Here's some more of the guards they've got working there. Here's what the tents look like. I mean, these things are something else. That's when they were being built. They weren't closed in yet. But you can see, it's about halfway between a building and a tent. It's not either. These are designed to be used on a yearly basis, not on a weekly basis. It's more of a permanent design. Huh. That is not Alligator Alcatraz. That is. See what they did? They used the taxiing runway, basically, to put these in. And what they'll do is they'll land the planes in, and they'll still have enough room down here to get them turned around so they can take off and go back out. It's quite the operation down there. There's the signs I was telling you about. There's a state trooper watching the gate. That's a picture of it before. Well, no, there it is. All the stuff's down there at the other end. This is the end where the planes will still be able to land and turn around and get ready to go out again. There you go. There's a shot of the long tents and the big tents there. It's quite the setup down there. More of the security guards. Lots of correction officers there working. Here's the billeting trailers that they're using. Here's that sign I told you about. I was like, oh my God, look, they got a sign. Oh, another corrections officer. Anyway, there's the real Alcatraz. Look at that. All right, so anyway, and then where do the employees stay? Well, the employees stay for a few weeks, and then they go back to wherever they come from. But while they're staying there, they get their own little billet there, you know, and not so bad. All right, here's the quiz. Which one's the governor? Okay, that's not funny. Okay, so Look, we are offering a pathway to citizenship. It's called self-deportation. Anybody that self-deports is given cash money. They're sent back to their country. They're given a bunch of money. They're given everything they need to get going again. And then they're given the pamphlet and all the paperwork to start the process to come back. However, if you are forcibly deported, you can never come back. So that is the pathway to citizenship. The pathway to citizenship involves you going back to square one, starting over, and then we will immediately start working on and I know it's a long, bullshit, dumb process. It's supposed to be, but it does work, and you can get here, and we do want you if you come in the right way. Yeah, I am big on being positive and being very positive about legal immigration. This country literally is built on and survives on legal immigration, both a robust worker program, a robust green card program, citizenship programs where people do get their full citizenship. There's a lot of people come into this country, they work their way in, they do it legally. We know who they are, we vetted them, we tested it, we know what's going on. And I'm all for that. And I'm all for these people that came here looking for a dream given away to say, look, make the right decision now, and we will make the right decision when it comes to you later. And I think that's the way to go. Ding, I don't believe that. I don't. Besides, things will adjust. It is what it is. And another thing is, Trump can do this for the entire 4 years, and he's still only going to make a dent. This is not going to end, fix, or complete the process in his term. That's where I think people are all messed up right now. Is he's deporting? No, all he's trying to deport is the people who have come here and commit secondary crimes, because there's not enough time in his presidency to deport everybody, or even to deport just the ones that were let in by the last administration. That's why they're focusing on the ones that are not just here illegally, but also they've committed another crime while they're here. And I think that's important. We may never actually go out and go after every single one. It's not necessary. But we do need to start somewhere, I think, and that's it. The law's the law for the reason. I'm sorry, it's the law. I don't like it. I just spent all day getting my driver's license renewed. Why? I'm a good driver. I had to prove who I am. I had to do the stupidest shit today for this government. But I did it because this is my country, and I love to live here, and I do things legally. I do things the right way. No matter what I want to do, I go get the right license, or I go do the right thing to do it, you know? No, I know he said that. I know he said that. Newsom, actually, his hair is a lot more rational than he is. I'm not a big Newsom fan, to be honest with you. He's running that state into the ground. Yes, we want people that want to be Americans, and the very first thing you have to do if you love something is you have to respect it. You know, that's like, I want to be your friend, so I'm going to come break in your house and steal beer out of your fridge. That don't work that way, you know. And so I think it's important that we understand that we want you to come here. We want a relationship with you, but you have to prove to us that you respect us, and you respect our laws, and you respect our progress and our process, and that's important. And so I don't know. I know people get mad at me because they just want to be, oh, they're deporting babies and all that. There's truth out there. Just keep digging. The truth is 90% of everybody that's been deported so far has been male, and they've been someone with secondary crimes under their belt. They've come here. They disrespected us by coming here illegally and coming here without due process. and then they disrespected us again by breaking our laws while they're here. I'm sorry, but that you lose your rights at that point. Bye. Don't touch my beer. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I live in this country. Yeah, I endured lines at 3 different government offices today so I could prove to one part of the government that I was okay with the other part of the government so that I could tell the third part of the government that I was actually clear. And I did all that today. I proved to the government, using the government, that the government knew that I was already okay. Are you confused yet? Anyway, and yeah, if that's all I have to bitch about, it's nothing, because it's the best place in the world. You know what? There's no better place to live in the world, and there's no better time to live in history. You're living in the best place at the best time. And when I say that, I mean, there's other places besides just the U.S., Canada, Western Europe. There's really beautiful places right now. There's no better place to live, and there's no better time to live. When I hear these people, I want to go back and live in medieval times. Really? And shit in a bucket? And really? And die with your arm rotting off from an infection? You really want to do that? Kiss my ass. You know when I want to live? The future. If I could dial it up where I want to live, it would be 100 years in the future. I want to see the future. I want to go and see the future. I want to embrace it. I'll take the risk that it's not there. We always make fun of Douche Newsom's hair. We probably He said, "What do you think the hair should run?" I said, "No, but it'd make a good vice presidential candidate." Well, that's true. I was a cop. And I'm also a civil rights activist when it comes to the Constitution. So I see both sides of that. I was a cop and a fireman, and I work for the media now. I was the PIO for my fire department, and now I talk to PIOs at fire departments as a member of the media. So, I mean, I literally have seen both sides of this one completely. And I respect cops. I'm nice to cops. I want cops to be nice to me. But I also stand up for my rights. And I have put my foot down twice with our local law enforcement here and told them off. Both times they deserved it. The one guy told a guy on a bicycle in front of my house to put his cigarette out. And when the guy put his cigarette out, he wrote him a $150 ticket for littering because he put his cigarette out. The cop told him to do it. I told that cop off on the side of the road. He got in his car and drove away, never said a word to me. I called him a piece of shit. You have the right to redress your government. But I also believe they deserve respect when they're doing everything right, because it's a hard job. I did it. I was a cop. I know. And so I feel like I'm one of those people where the moment they violate the Constitution, I go medieval on their ass. But right up to that point, they're my buddies. The cops are good, man. We need them. We need them. I was one. I have friends that are. And so I kind of walk the line with that. Because if you piss on my Constitution, I'm going to rear up like a snake. They'll strike. But as long as we all understand where our boundaries are, I get along with cops everywhere. I mean, I work with them. I deal with them. I'm friends with them. So that's where I'm at on that. Angelo, really? Wow. I don't even know how that's possible because, again, they're 90% of what they're deporting is people who have committed at least 2 crimes. But hey, you're the guy on the street there. I don't know. Down here, all the activity we've seen here has been very directed. It's all people they had already researched. They show up, they put them in custody, they walk away. There's been nobody getting hurt or anything like that down here that I know of. We also don't have quite as big a problem here as some other places. You know, California has almost twice the illegal population that Florida does. So there's going to be focal points. Texas is another focal point where Florida, even though we do have an interface here, especially with Cuba, It's the illegal part of it is not as big a deal here. Out in California, like we know, they've got whole companies of fields after fields with hundreds of people working, and who knows what everybody's status is. So I see where it's worse in other places than here. That's all I'm saying. Oh, you did? Angela, I'm sorry to hear that. I fight for your right to protest. I may not agree with everything that you're protesting, and then again I might, but the point is I will stand there and fight for your right to protest against me. It's the only way you can be a constitutionalist, is to respect me as much as I respect you, even when we don't agree. And I'll tell you what hurts the cause is all the violence. You guys go out there and peaceful protest all day long, and I fight for it. I want you to do it. I may not even agree with you're protesting for, but I want you to protest. Because if you feel strongly enough about protesting it, then it needs to be out in the open, it needs to be discussed, it needs to be debated, and it needs to be worked on, because enough people got off their ass and went out there and protested. Whether I agree with it or not, it's time we look at it again, because people are mad. And that's what protesting's all about. And then the anarchists show up and they start throwing the fire bombs, and they start throwing the tear gas back at the cops, and they start doing all the shit that they do, and pretty soon they're burning down Target stores. And I gotta tell you, that doesn't help the case. Whether it's George Floyd, whether it's January 6th, whether it's ICE raids, whether it's Rodney King, whichever raid you're talking about, whichever riot you're talking about, okay? All that violence did not help the reason the rioting was going on. It didn't. The protesting helps. The moment it de-evolves into a riot, it hurts, because all the media on both sides turns against it. Oh, look, it's violent protesting, blah, blah, blah. And then they say all these ICE protesters have turned violent, when in fact, that's not true. Anarchists showed up and took over the show. Most of your peaceful protesters have gone home. And I hate that. I hate that, because it messes up your right to protest when these goddamn anarchists show up and start burning shit down. We should be able to protest our government. We should be able to redress our government without these damn anarchists showing up and ruining it for everybody. They have the duty to act. They don't necessarily have the duty to arrest. Arrest is whether they arrest or not is up to them, unless the warrant is already issued. If it's a warrantless arrest, it's up to them. That's what they call discretion. However, that being said, the cops have a duty to perform, and if you're doing something unsafe, they do have the duty to act. And so, it is what it is. I think the way the protesters turn into rioters, I think that's wrong. It's bad. The whole thing is stupid. It doesn't get the point across. But then the cops turn around and they don't help themselves. Okay? All the beanbag guns that they shot up the media with beanbag guns that day, that was stupid. Why would they shoot all those media people with beanbag guns and then laugh about it, and then end up having to issue apologies to Australian media and European media because the cops went out like a bunch of idiots and shot up a bunch of media with beanbag guns? It's stupid, all right? That's all I'm saying is, if it's handled properly, everything is not as bad. If we can't handle it properly, then I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. The answer is not to do nothing, because if you do nothing, it escalates, it gets worse. But the answer is walking down the street with big sticks and beating on everybody that gets in your way. I don't know that that's the answer either. I think we need to work on ways to separate these groups. And once nightfall comes and the anarchy starts, they need to come out and separate blocks and do things because the one thing that dies Anarchy dies in daylight, okay? And I'm going to tell you something. If you put choppers overhead, you put lights on the street corners, you put cops on the corners separating out all these protesters, make them go this way, make them go this way, make them go this way, separate. The moment you separate out these pussies, they won't riot anymore. They got to be in big groups because none of them want to go to jail because they all work at an auto parts store the next day. Okay, so none of them want to go to jail. So they wait till there's enough of them. Instead of working them down the street and concentrating them into groups, that's a mistake on law enforcement's part. What they should be doing is working in pods to separate them. Create 6 and 8 groups moving in different directions. Funnel them down in different areas so that they cannot coordinate efforts and keep them moving. And that way, you never get enough of these anarchists together that feel safe enough to start burning buildings down. That's how you have to deal with it. All right? And for God's sake, if we can get the rioting to stop, the protests will mean something again. But right now, the protest turn riot means nothing other than y'all are a bunch of violent assholes. And that's not the case. The protesters probably have some legitimate points, but nobody's going to listen to them as long as we burn down something at the end of the night. Bill, the protesting hasn't lasted. I will say the ICE raid protests have been probably the most, the word I used on my radio show that Trey thought was really funny, I called it melancholy mayhem, because that's what it was. It was like little teeny pockets of it here and there where the anarchists tried to get it going, like the day with the autonomous cars, the one car the day before, the 3 dumpsters the next day. It was just little bits of mayhem going on. Little bit of mayhem here, little bit of mayhem there. These were not violent riots. The Freddie Gray riots, the Rodney King riots, people were drug out of their vehicles and beat half to death. Many people lost their businesses. And what was funny was the people that were protesting and rioting and burning stuff down were burning down people's things at home. What got me was you had black protesters that were out there protesting because a black man was mistreated. And so what did they do? They burned down black businesses that were owned and operated by black families, that had been owned by black families for years, and they went and they burned them all down. How did that help? And then they went down the street and they burned out all the Oriental folks down there. And I know you're not supposed to use that word anymore, but that's what they called it back then. Okay? They burned out all of the South Asian folks down on this side of town. They didn't do nothing wrong. They had no part in this. Again, it turned violent, and the violence not only missed the mark, it diluted the entire purpose. It diluted everything out. Looting Apple stores and then saying, hey man, people got to eat. Run that by me again? It was a shoe store you robbed. Anyway. Let's see. There's protesters and there's anarchists or rioters or looters. They're all the same thing in my opinion. It's a flavor of the day. And your protesters have nothing to do with your anarchists, rioters, and your looters. In fact, I bet if you stopped the looters and asked them what they were looting for, they probably all have a different idea. It's the part that kind of burns me up. It's like you're not only you're wasting all of everybody's time, you're out here screwing up everybody's businesses and everything else. I just hate it. And then the worst part of it is, at the end of the day, they have screwed their message up too. They screwed up the very point they were trying to make out there. And that sucks. That really sucks. Gotta eat, bruh. It's freedom. They're two very different groups. protesters, demonstrators are constitutional people, people that are following the Constitution. They're redressing their government. They're using the freedom of speech. Rioters, anarchists, and lootists, that's naked looters. They, over here, they want to do what they want to do. They don't give a shit about your cause. They don't give a shit about people being deported, people being killed by cops. They don't care about this or that or the other thing. They don't care about politics. All they care about is, hey, it looked like we might be able to riot and get away with it, so let's show up. And they end up screwing up all the work that the protesters did peacefully earlier in the day. Shit. Yeah, I never understood that, why we're protesting because a race feels like they're being slighted, so they protest, and the first thing they do is burn down all the businesses owned by that same race. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's because the people burning them down don't give a shit about the cause. All they care about is the anarchy. The purge. That's all they want. The truth is, if these pussies ever saw the real purge, they'd be scared to death, hiding in a water heater closet somewhere. Yeah, the squeaky wheel generally gets the majority of the grease. Oh, seeing what's come in over here. Wow, I am very tired tonight, guys. I'm going to be going soon. It's 11:11 on the East Coast, 7:11 on the West Coast. The sun has it's 8:12 on the West Coast. The sun is set in California now, or setting, and now I'm starting to wonder. I'm going to keep looking if that sun. I think both those videos have gone into repeat now. I'm pretty sure. But it's okay. We're going to be going off here before long. Looks like first light over there on some of those volcanoes on the other side of the world. One's gone dark. Another two, we now have first light. So that's kind of cool. And the storm chasers are getting some fast food somewhere. I couldn't see what restaurant it was. And we still got that storm coming in on that tower site up here. The main part of that storm, look at this. It's right on that tower site. So I've been keeping that up because we've been registering some pretty good winds there. The temperature's been steadily rising there. You can see it's still getting quite a bit of wind up there on that tower. Not much to see now though, but man, that thing is coming right in on it right now. And we still got our two storm chasers down here, but I swear they're riding in the same car. Look at the seat. Look at that. They're in the same car. I think what happened was one of their vehicles went down or something, and they jumped in with each other, and they're both still trying to get their live streams out and stuff. I respect that. I understand it. I get it. Hey, no problem, Victor. You know, I love doing it. I really do. I really feel that I wasn't ever going to do like a daily variety show or a daily news show like this, but I'm finding that I enjoy it. I'm staying a little tired now, and I'm not getting other stuff done that I need to get done, but oh well. We'll get there. I'm still watching my subscriber number go down every day. It's continuing to drop. I'm down to 16,675. I had made it up to 17,100. So that means I've lost 425 subscribers from my peak. And that's more than a lot of channels even have. So I take that seriously, but I also understand why it's happening. It's not happening because I've offended my audience or I'm an ignorant asshole. It's happened because I got a blast of 10,000 new subscribers in a matter of 3 days. And they're naturally going to bleed off like this. The Koreans on the roof. I've heard that reference a lot lately. Do you guys like that little thing around my window? It's kind of weird. It's, I don't know. I think it's kind of neat. I'm working on finding more of those. I'm looking to find some that are clear in the center, like a GIF that's like transparent in the middle. If you guys are interested, I always try to show you guys different things. And I'm going to switch this out of studio mode and switch it into standard mode. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to show you guys how I do something. Watch this. See, I select on my photo here. Right? You guys should be able to see this. And look, I can move myself off of that square. See that? So all that really is a black, it's a black GIF. And it's got like this like buzzing thing around it with the red and the blue. That's all it is. And then all I do is I sit my video right in the cradle right there, and there you go. It looks pretty cool. But what I'm looking for one that doesn't have a black background. I want the same thing, maybe something even a little cooler, that has not a black background, that has a clear background, and that way I can put it on top. Because if I could put it on top, then the little flame pieces would be over the edges of the video, and it would make it look even cooler. So, yeah, the chemtrails, I got to tell you, I love how, boy, that tower site is getting hammered right now. That the rain, that wall has just reached that tower site, and it is getting absolutely hammered right now by this storm. Basically, the chemtrails, everybody said, you know, y'all are crazy with these chemtrails. Y'all have been talking about these chemtrails for years, and you're absolutely crazy about these chemtrails. There's no such thing as chemtrails. You're stupid. Well, guess what? Then the guy comes out in Texas and says, oh, cloud seeding? Shit, we've been doing that for a couple years now. Yeah, it works great. And, yeah, oh, by the way, you know that big flood? Yeah, we cloud seeded like 2 days before that right down the road about 150 miles. But I don't think it had anything to do with that flood, so probably no big deal. That's crazy. And so now I'm thinking, wait a minute. Everybody thought that people that talked about chemtrails were crazy. And now we got companies out there that are patented ideas where they're putting things in the clouds using chemtrails. How do they do it? It's injected into the fuel, or it's injected into the back of the motor, one or the other. And so it's dispersed in the exhaust. And there you go. That's the same thing we've been talking about for 20 years. But remember, we're crazy. Remember? We're crazy. Remember? Now all of a sudden the shit's real. I mean, come on. And this site's getting clobbered. 32-mile-an-hour winds right there. All right. You think P. Diddy, you think if we let P. Diddy out, he'll end the protests somehow? I don't have faith in either one of those things. Agreed. Aquarius, the man even mentioned that there's several ways to disperse it, and he mentioned putting it in the fuel. Yeah. Well, again, everybody has their idea of what they think these chemtrails are. Some people believe that it's birth control in different ways. Some people believe it's experimentation. Others believe it's weather modification. One thing's for sure. Planes create them one day. They don't create them the next day. Does that mean they're chemtrails? Not necessarily. You may have different atmospherics on different days. Some days we have condensate. Some days we don't. So I don't know. That's fine. Oh, that's fine, RuPaul. And yeah, I don't mind flying. I like the flying part. It's the whole airport TSA airline horseshit. Airport crap. Once I'm on the plane in my seat in my seatbelt with someone nice sitting next to me, I enjoy the flight. It's not the flight. I'm not like a scaredy cat. I don't want to fly. I don't mind flying. I don't want to put up with the bullshit. They're like, "Are you afraid of crashing?" No, I'm afraid of TSA. I don't like those people. I'm afraid they're going to piss me off, and I'm going to say something stupid because I have a real bad habit when the government makes me like today. You know what my biggest concern was today? I told the lady at the vital statistics office. I explained to her while she was getting my birth certificate that got lost in the flood while she was making my new copy. I explained to her how if the city, county, and state and federal governments all consolidated all of their records into one computer system, this entire day would not have been necessary for me. My new license simply just could have been made and given to me, and it would have been so much easier. But I said, you know, the city and the county and the state and the federal, none of the computer systems talk to each other. That's why we're still sending out. The state issues the death certificates. The county's the one that actually signs off on the death certificates. And the federal government never gets them. And that's why we've got people that are 150 years old still getting Social Security checks. It sounds to me like it's time that, you know, the internet, Al Gore created the internet, 50 years ago or something? Come on, we should have easily been able to connect the government up by now. What's the deal? Right? What's the deal? That's good, Aquarius, and I have no bad experiences either. I'm just one of these people that when I'm in a situation and the government's doing their stupid shit, I immediately call them out on it, and I'm always have to bite my tongue and be really careful what I say. It just sucks. Yeah, the last I flew, I think I've only flown once since 9/11. I don't fly a lot. I don't want to fly again. Not because I'm worried about dying or crashing or any of that. Flying, your trip to the airport is more dangerous than your flight. That's fact. That's fact. So let's take that out of the equation. What worries me or what deals with me when it comes to flying is, number one, I like to drive. Number two, I like to have my car and my stuff with me. I don't like to be restricted on how much stuff I can bring. Number three, the trip is the adventure for me. I like to see things along the way, stop along the way, check things out, go do things. I don't want, if I have a meeting in Texas, I'll take the week off. And I'll spend the whole time driving over and back because I like to drive. I want to see the country. Oh, RuPaul, don't let politics ruin that. Don't let politics ruin that. I don't know what. I know. I'm sure we got people now that don't like us because of Trump, and we had people that didn't like us because of Biden. It is what it is. And you know, I'm of the opinion that you shouldn't let the leadership of a country dissuade you from coming to that country, as long as the culture and the basic operation of the country are within your liking. Well, that was a long time ago. You realize that? I mean, W will probably be dead soon. His dad's already dead. And that was a long time ago. You know, I have very mixed feelings about Bush. I feel that he got us into two wars, one of which we never should have gotten into. But I also feel that he was he was a ray of hope and light at a time when this country was at its lowest point ever. He stood up on that hill and he said, I hear you. We hear you. And the people that took down these buildings are going to hear us all. And that meant something to us back then. Whether he was even my president or not, that meant something back then. And he held us together as a country. Then he went and did a bunch of stupid shit he shouldn't have did. So I get it. The Patriot Act, or not the Patriot Act, I think it was the Patriot Act. They came out with a bunch of laws right after 9/11 that destroyed our Constitution. It's taken us years to claw back and get back what we lost after 9/11. The government way overstepped. George W. Bush way overstepped after 9/11, and he put in place laws and things that violated our constitutional rights. Never should have happened. And I don't believe he should have went into Iraq. I think that the original conflict that we were in was fine because we were directly dealing with the people that masterminded and financed 9/11. But then we had to go and do more. We had to go get into Iran. I think in Iraq, I think that was a mistake. I think that we just went way too far. So I understand people being aggravated with him. So I have very mixed emotions because at a time when we were hurting and we were down and it was bad, that man stood on that rubble and he brought us back up. He said, we're going to get these people, we're going to find these people, we're going to get them, and we're going to save these lives, we're going to help these firemen's families. And he did do all that stuff. And then he turned around and effed up. So I have very mixed emotions on the Bushes and especially after 9/11 and all that. No, absolutely. I do believe in how it happened, yes. I'm one of these people that study conspiracy theories, and that's actually one of the 12 conspiracy theories that I've studied in depth in the last 10 years. And I absolutely believe 9/11 happened pretty much like we're being told. I do. I find some things to be absolutely crazy. I find other things to be pretty much the way it happened. And that's one of the ones where, it happened pretty much the way it happened. It is what it is. There's any other answer other than the one we know now would be more difficult. And you have to remember that when all else fails, if you just look at what is the easiest path, the path with least resistance, that's the path that generally will lead you to the truth. And in 9/11, what they said happened actually is the easiest path, the path of least resistance, and I believe it is the path of what happened. I don't see a big conspiracy there like some people say. I looked through all the stuff. Oh, the buildings came down. Something happened. The collapse wasn't right. Look, okay, I used to teach the Francis Brannigan class, building construction for the fire service. I used to teach a week-long class to fire inspectors on how to make sure buildings are being built so that they don't collapse and kill firefighters. And then I taught firefighters how to look at buildings and tell if that building was going to frickin' kill them or not. And that was what I did. And I know for a fact that those buildings took exactly what fire load they should have taken. They collapsed from the middle. Standard pancake collapsed. The timing was all there. The building struck glass was the first to fall because the fire loading was so much more over the damaged floor. There is just so much to look at in that, and I looked at every bit of it. And I'm telling you, 9/11 happened pretty much the way they said it happened. Building 7, yes, Building 7. Building 7 was damaged very bad in the initial collapse. And as we know with structural collapse, a building can start to collapse and it can take 10 minutes, 10 nanoseconds, or 10 years to come down. Matter of fact, there's a shopping mall over, where was it at? China or Japan, I'm trying to remember. South Asia. Shopping mall. This building began to collapse and they just kept putting people into it. And there was cracks that were this wide in some of the walls and they just kept putting people into it. This building was slowly failing and collapsing over a period of months, and finally it came down. And those people all went to jail. I mean, it was bad. It never should have happened. Okay, but the point is when you damage a building, when you damage something, it's like when you damage the motor in your car. Okay, if you run it low on oil and you damage the motor, you can do whatever you want now. You can put thick oil in it, you can run it really easy, but the damage is done. And it will eventually fail. All of my equipment here has been hit by several bad power spikes over the last 2 weeks. It's working now. I got almost everything back working, but guess what? The damage is done, and things are going to fail because of that damage. So building 7 was like that, okay? The damage was done. People heard creaking in that building all day. They evacuated that building because they heard creaking. They knew it was going to fail. We got eyewitness accounts that heard the buckling in the building. They heard the creaking. They decided to move everybody away from that building. They knew it was going to fall. And everybody says, well, that's the conspiracy because they brought it down. Well, first of all, if they felt like they had to bring it down, they could have done that. But that's not what happened, okay? It's not. There was no demolition set up in that building and it brought down for any political or expedient reason. There was no reason to do that at all. It's just very simple. The structure, those buildings, okay, they're sitting there and there is 10 floors or so underneath them of subway and everything underneath street level. When those big buildings came down, they destroyed those tunnels all the way down. There were people trapped 4 or 5 stories underground. They were able to get a lot of them out. When those buildings came down, they crushed the entire structure around there, which was all built up for years with multiple levels all down underneath it. And all that had been severely damaged by these 2 of the highest structures in the world falling straight down into a hole. And this building 7 was sitting right there, like right across the distance of a street, okay? And the building, the sub foundation of building 7 was completely wiped out, and it was creaking and rumbling all day. That building was in a state of collapse. Since the moment Tower 2 fell, that building was in a state of collapse. It just hadn't happened yet. And I believe that. I've studied it and I believe it. So, I mean, and if we disagree, that's fine, because you might be right. I don't know for sure, but that's how I feel. No, steel and glass is not flammable at all. We didn't see that. What we saw was two planes that were fully loaded with 115 octane aviation fuel. That's what we saw. And the amount of fire that we saw on the impact floors was directly related to that. There was standard combustibles, there was carpeting, there was desks, there was chairs, there was lots of paper. We saw that. That all helped, but that's not what brought the buildings down. What brought the buildings down was the 2,000 plus degree direct flame impingement on the load-bearing members in the center of that structure. That's what brought them down, okay? Those load-bearing members were sprayed with a fire retardant material that bought those people those precious moments to get out. Had they not protected those girders, the load-bearing members, with that spray-on fire retardant like they did, those buildings would have came down 5 or 10 minutes sooner than they did. That retardant held those buildings there because they protected that steel for those extra minutes, okay? But that direct flame impingement was bringing those buildings down. There was nothing ever could have happened. The moment the plane hit the building was coming down. It was a done deal. Had the plane not been full of fuel, had the plane been a cross-country flight and it just had enough fuel and they only had 5 or 10% of a full load of fuel on board, there's a chance, especially with the tower where it was hit higher, there's a chance that the tower may have survived the fire. But the planes were nearly fully loaded with fuel. The planes took off from cities that were only a few hundred miles from there, or even 300 or 400 miles from there, and they flew right there. So these fuels were loaded to go across the country, and they specifically chose flights that were going to be loaded with more fuel. That was part of the plan, because the fuels what brought down the buildings, the direct flame impingement on the load-bearing members, and that's what did it. That's interesting, full. I'm going to check that out. Gallatin. I'm going to check that out. I've never heard that, and I study this stuff quite intently. You're correct. Rupal, you're correct. Steel does not need to turn to liquid. It just simply needs to fail. And that's what people don't understand. Standard steel begins to fail over 1,000 degrees, and by 1,300 degrees, structural steel loses its structural integrity almost completely. Well, it didn't take long with 2,000 degree flame impingement to bring those structural members up to 1,300 degrees, which is a fail point. So that's why that's just why it happened. The reason, like I said, the reason that the second one went down first was because it was hit much lower. I think they planned that. I think they were trying to get them to come down about the same time. I hate to say that. That's terrible. But there was a lot of planning that went into this. This was a very, very planned out, meticulously planned event by these people. It's not near as random as people think it is. These people aren't near as stupid as people think they are. This thing was planned out, and I actually believe that the second plane hit lower in an attempt to get them to come down about the same time, because it's known that that's what would happen. Yep. That sounds like a weird thing, full. I'm going to check that out, because I like bizarre shit that might be real. I love that kind of stuff, so I'll have to check that out. Aquarius, as far as 9/11 goes, I don't know of any big government conspiracy involving 9/11. I really don't. I've studied it intently. In fact, I went through a few years where I actually thought it was one big government conspiracy. And I've come to the realization now that it was not. It's simply the path of least resistance. What happened is what happened. We went to the moon. There's a lot of these conspiracies out there. We went to the moon. But there's other things like JFK. I completely believe that's a conspiracy. I'll tell you what, Jeffrey Epstein right now. You think you like conspiracies? You want to talk about conspiracies? Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein, for Christ's sake. Here's the thing, that when the Biden administration gets a hold of it, all of a sudden it goes away. We can't release it. Nothing. We're not releasing nothing. We're not doing nothing. We're not charging nobody. We're not really doing. We're going to put this guy in jail. We're going to put old what's her face in jail, and that's it. But we don't have no clients. We don't know who's involved. We don't know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then Trump's like, we're going to release that shit when I get in office, and Dan Bongino and all these other people. We're going to release that shit, and then they get in office, and all of a sudden, wait. What the F? Okay? So whatever Jeffrey Epstein did, and whatever power he has in this world over whatever intelligence agencies, CIA, Israel, this and that, and Eastern and Western Europe, and SETI Alpha 5, and whatever they got, okay, whatever there is with this Epstein file, it's bigger than presidents. It's bigger than countries. It's bigger than crimes like rape. It's bigger than things like this. And so I'm thinking, holy shit, what could this possibly be that Donald Trump would run on this? And then do the whole, nothing to see here. What the hell, nothing to see here? He's pissed off a lot of his folks lately with this. Just like Biden pissed off his folks with this. There's something so big with this that it shuts presidents down. It shuts people like Dan Bongino that's been talking on his conservative talk radio show for 5 years about this, about Jeffrey Epstein and how we got to get disclosure, we got to get justice for these girls, we got to get this out so that the people that are responsible. And then he gets up there and he's like, we went through everything, there's nothing there. Your sister's ass, there's nothing there. And so what I'm saying is, if you want to look at a real conspiracy, that's it. That's a real conspiracy. Because I've looked into the other big ones and they're not. That one is. There's some really good ones out there. Like I said, JFK's another one. MLK, there's a lot with that one too, I think. And they're supposed to be releasing all that. Still waiting on it. Still waiting on it. These people make promises, they get in there, and then they realize, oh shit, we can't release that. I know that's what happens. So if you want to talk about conspiracies, there's your conspiracies. All right, Heath, yeah, I'm going to hit it too. Well, thank you, Heath. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Full, I've noticed that some footage is hard to find. I will also say, when it comes to 9/11, there is some really good videos people have made, timeline videos, where they've taken all the radio traffic. And there's one where it's the last call of all the engines and all the ladders and all the planes. It's all the last calls. That one tore me up. I'll never watch that one, I don't think, again. That was bad. It was the lasting time we heard from everybody we lost on the radio. And things like when those buildings came down, you heard all the radios keying up as the buildings were collapsing. That's something nobody talks about. But as a radio guy, that spooks me out. As those buildings were falling, all the keys on those radios were keying up. And you heard, it's like 25 or 50 radios all at the same time. People yelling for help, radios being keyed by collapsing and by movement and by running and everything happening at once. And there's just this moment on the radio where the radio system is literally overwhelmed. And you can tell when the collapses happen by the radio system. Just crazy. All right, guys. We'll leave it there. All right, it's 11:42, guys, here on the East Coast. We've been on for 2 hours and 57 minutes, coming up on 3 hours here. This is the Sights and Sounds of Earth. I hope you enjoyed our show tonight and enjoyed our little trip around the world. And we'll be back tomorrow night again for another episode right here on Starship Adventures, live from Starship Studios in Southwest Florida, where it's still wet and rainy. We'll see you guys next time right here on Starship Adventures. 7 threes, everybody, and have a good night.